Hey guys, Josh and Chris here from the Brothers Boyd, and we are sitting with Chuck Brown here to talk to you about his comic Flawed and get you ready for this amazing show, Sculpt. So let's talk about Flawed from Image Comics. It is a 6-issue book. Chris, you read all six. I read all six. Amazing work, Chuck. Loved
Thank,
it.
thank you.
Main character, Dr. Jim Ease, is a psychiatrist by day and a vigilante by night. I think one of the reviews I saw today said it was Frasier meets the Punisher.
Right.
That's high regard, man. And I
Thank
got to
you.
tell you, Chuck, the way you write your characters, I'm invested from the start, man.
Um,
Just all of them. The Jim, her arc in the book was great. I think my favorite character in the book was Relic. I
oh,
really
no,
liked her arc. I thought it
right.
was really well done. Chris,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Yeah, I really loved it. I loved all the great character development. It was a lot of great character development, a lot of great characters as well. Um, I was really loving V in the book. I thought she was pretty awesome, a great character as well, a great complimentary character. So Chuck, let's talk a little bit about Flawed, and so it's been out. I guess it finished up in March of this year. How much fun was it to create these characters and play in this world?
It just started out as just a labor of love, something I've wanted to do for a long time. I'm a big fan of the Punisher and Gotham and things of that sort. So Flawed is kind of a black female Punisher that, with a little bit of, Harley Quinn or Frasier sprinkled in around it. So uh I guess the best part of this is just seeing it come to life when Prezi does the character designs, or someone does a cover, or someone does some fan art, and just seeing your ideas come to life on the page. That's one of the coolest parts, and it's also kind of just delving into our own psyches and kind of pulling out kind of what makes us tick and kind of throwing into these characters here and there.
Awesome. Well, first of all, let's say this is not a book for the faint at heart or
No,
for kids.
no, no,
There's,
no.
there's some language in there. There's some violence, and it gets pretty rough. It's
Hooked
not
up.
gratuitous. It is moving the story along.
Right, right.
Right. And it was absolutely acceptable in the story we're telling because I mean it was, it's a lends to that type of violence, and you understand the character, and this is the type of character it is. And so I felt that it was absolutely purposeful for the actual story, and I felt like it was not something that should not have been in there. It felt like it worked perfectly, and it helped move the story along, like Josh was saying, to tell people this is what's going on. Now, when I first started reading it, I'm reading and we're talking about this character, the Skinwalker, and I'm seeing the vigilante side, and then it takes this jump to the supernatural side, and I've seen that before in your stuff, Chuck. I read Bitterroot. It also was leaning into the supernatural. Is that something that you grew up liking, like the supernatural and things like that?
I do love I just love a really good story. And then, normally I'll start a TV show or I'll start a comic that I just kind of grab off the shelf randomly or something. And it starts out, it's a really good story with a pretty grounded world. And then all of a sudden it takes this twist into something weird. It's kind of like Lost. Lost started out as, a really cool plane crash with very interesting characters. And all this weird things started to kind of unravel. And I've always kind of fell in love with that kind of storytelling, and I do love sci-fi and monsters and and mutations and things of that sort. So.
Awesome. Awesome.
I really enjoyed it. I thoroughly opened up the book. I was getting a different vibe from the first issue in the beginning, and then it flipped on a dime, and I was like, "Oh, this is amazing! This was such a great read."
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely.
now I know it's 6 issues out now. There's a trade as well, correct, Chuck?
Right, the trade collects all 6 issues, and that's what came out in March. But it all 6 issues kind of came out last year through Image Comics.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. So take a look at this world, Flawed. Um, Flawed because our characters have some flaws. There are some character flaws in there. What we don't want to see is flaws in our sculptures. What do you look for in the sculpture, Chuck? I know we're using her new costume that they did in issue 6, and I'll put
Right.
a picture of it up here on the screen for you guys who haven't seen it. What kind of things are you wanting to see in that sculpture that they make for this?
You know, I kind of want to say they really love these characters. They really love the designs, attention to detail. The city of Setham is a really big part of the book. It's almost a character in itself. So always, even the statues I buy have, may see in the background have, Hulk and things like that. But I just love a really good base, and the base kind of helps tell the story about the character and who they are and their setting and how they're, how their environment and their universe is built, right? So I'd love to see a really cool base that kind of reflects the city and just attention to detail and have some fun,
That's awesome, man. And I tell you something I noticed when reading the book, it is a psychological book. And one of the things that Prezi leaned into with the drawing is the eyes.
Hmm.
The eyes played a key role in the story.
Absolutely, 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 absolutely.
I absolutely could see, something with maybe one or two buildings with Jim coming between the two, like you had on that cover, and the opening scene from the book when you see that bird there.
Mm.
How cool would that be to see on the sculpt as well somewhere, just a bird hanging out over there as
Or,
well.
or even a decapitated body, or a disemboweled body there. Something subtle, nothing too much, something subtle, But that would be cool. Yeah.
But absolutely something a reflection of that actual character, and we see, you know, the mayhem that she leaves behind whenever she shows up. So
Right, right,
yeah.
right. I don't know if you put the cover up or not yet, but in the image of issue 6, it kind of shows her with a gun and a sword. You can even do interchangeable weapons if you wanted, with your sculpt. That would be something cool, but all depends on how complicated that would be. I don't know the mechanics of that, but it would look cool.
Yes, it would. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and that cover for issue 6 is amazing. Like I said, all of the book, the story was amazing. It was a great read. I know it says this is volume 1, Chuck. I hope there's a volume 2, because at the end of the book, well, I don't want to give away too much, but there's a couple of characters that get to know Jim a little bit in the book, and I would love to see the relationship between those characters grow.
Who's that? What?
Detective.
Relic? Oh, Davis. Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he sort of joined in.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have. I think I have like 3 or 4 issues, well, at least one issue's written, and the rest kind of outlined for another volume. Is just finding that time to really pick and choose what project I'm going to work on next. Flawed
Yeah,
had
right.
now, so
Right,
now,
and you're doing some great work right now. I know you've written. I haven't read it yet, but I know you did the Wall of Rising for the
yeah,
Titans Beast world.
yeah.
And like I said, Bitterroot was a great read as well. I did read that one. So, if you look over my shoulder here, I got the Scar book that you wrote. That
Oh,
was a
no,
great
I
one
do
as
see it.
well.
It's awesome, awesome.
Yeah, and that's the one you signed for me. So it's got the signature up there. So yeah, it's sitting right here. So
Thank you.
yeah. So yeah, we're excited. I can't wait to see what this sculpt is going to look like, because again, I fell in love with that character Jim as soon as I got introduced to her. So to see a sculpt and an actual mold of her is going to be pretty cool.
Yeah,
So
and one of the great things about Prezi and his art, this is someone else's art, but Prezi and his art, it can be a very dark story, a very bloody story, but in your sculptures, don't be afraid to use those bright colors on Jim and be lively colors, even though it's kind of a dark, moody story. But her costume is very bright and very vibrant, very vibrant. So.
Oh yeah, I love the fact that the new costume she gets there in that issue is bright, even though it is a darker story. You don't lean into the black of the Punisher outfit or Batman's dark motif hiding in the dark. She's not
Right,
hiding in the shadows. She's out in the light taking people out.
right, right.